At what moment do misunderstood myths become interpreted myths? And at what instant does a new mythology arise, born from the need to give form to what cannot be spoken? Some authors seem to attribute to myths a wisdom that is, in reality, only a reflection of the ignorance that interprets them. They try to impose their own knowledge on what has not been said or written, as if the silence of the myth needed to be filled with human voices. Blind belief in interpretations, combined with a limited capacity for discernment, causes many beings to humbly bow before renewed myths and their stories, without any questioning. Discernment reveals that every manifested being has its own characteristics. These characteristics are, at the same time, repulsive and attractive, both among beings of the same species and among beings of different species and kingdoms. The complexity of manifestation lies in the coexistence of opposing forces that recognize and influence each other. Two stones harmonize or repel each other in the same way as two plants or two animals. Discernment is a tool present in all beings of all species and kingdoms. This tool, however, is largely neglected and misused. Most of the time, it leads the being to condemnation. The being judges nothing and no one, but tends to condemn everything and everyone who opposes its convictions. Discernment, when corrupted by rigid beliefs, ceases to illuminate and begins to obscure. Discernment, therefore, is a sacred tool that, when misused, becomes an instrument of condemnation. Science is the natural mechanism that acts as a filter and neutral element, highlighting discernment and revealing the characteristics of beings in the light of understanding. The being attentive to itself is an observer who never strays from science. It condemns nothing, nor anyone. On the contrary, through science, it sharpens the light of understanding and sees clearly what lies beyond judgment. Immediately ahead, and in opposition, rises the defensive light of conformism. Conformism dresses itself in arrogant hope, created to prevent the movements of the being toward its true nature. This false hope sustains remaining in what has been imposed, blocking the impulse of transcendence. All communication should be mutualistic, having understanding as a fundamental element. However, contacts are contaminated by false interpretations, the result of mismatches between the characteristics of beings and parasitic relationships that form. Instead of exchange, there is consumption. Instead of listening, there is projection. Reactions caused by attraction and repulsion between two or more beings can be gentle or violent, depending on the degree of disruption these interactions cause in the convictions that sustain the being in its creation. The more rigid the conviction, the more intense the reaction to what challenges it. Wise silence has been used by all species, throughout all time, as a way to preserve awakened knowledge. Nothing is more fought against than this knowledge, because it threatens the structures that keep the being asleep. Stories, legends, and mythologies have become great allies of accounts imbued with hidden knowledge with wisdom. They guard, under the veil of symbolism, truths that cannot be directly spoken, but can be awakened. The evolutionary process frequently confuses the adaptation of species with the path of the being toward full knowledge. Science, which could be a guide on this journey, is also used as a tool of conformism, diverting the being from deep investigation and leading it to passive acceptance of imposed reality. Hope, in Pandora's box, is the greatest evil. It extraordinarily amplifies the convictions of the being, making it blind to discernment. Under the guise of virtue, hope sustains remaining in illusion. The art of transmutation requires the deep work of dissolving convictions. And the wise do not converse, because they know that truth does not impose itself, it is only revealed in the silence of inner investigation.